Tracy Anseth, Tammie Herman. Again, we're seeing this tendency this year in women's 5-pin play of the veteran moving on. That experience, that prior TV experience, meaning something. And what a game that Tracy Anseth had. 346 as she beat Tanya Binkley.
Okay, if you're gonna get it, that's the place to get it. First frame. Oh, almost got that one to kick back.
Oh, this is something that she didn't have in her game against Binkley, and that's an open. But she, I was going to say, thought she had it tracking well, but she misses it at 13 to open.
So 7 strikes in total for the last game for Tracy. Tammie, by comparison, just 3. That's the way to get a little attention. Come out with that first one. When your opponent's made a little mistake, just capitalize on it right away.
Wow, back-to-back for Tammie Herman. As you said, she only had 3 in her preliminary game. Now she has 2.
When you're bowling one of those 346 games, it's just so easy. Coming back after one of those games is sometimes a little difficult. You start to press a little bit. You start to try to make it be smooth, and you can't do that. As soon as you start to do that type of thing, split, head, get the chop off. You don't have the good roll and movement on the ball. Compound that with your opponent coming out and throwing 2 strikes at you right off the get-go.
Right. Yeah, you quickly forget about the 346. And she manages to get her 15, but 2 opens. Yeah, 28 wasn't what we expected from Tracy Anseth to start this quarterfinal. Not after she bowled a 346, and Tammie Herman, by comparison, only had 2 strikes in her win over Kim Abrams, but has back-to-back, and now Anseth finally finds the mark.
She got that one in just perfect. A little quick perhaps on the first 2 shots when she had the split in the head pin. This time manages to fit it on the side, gets a good pin reaction in the strike. Oh, Tammie's praying for this one.
Answered with a 3rd strike.
Now the danger here, you're off to a good start. This one she's got to run out a little bit. It looks like it's crossing over too much for her, and then she manages to carry it back in.
Wow.
Just don't get too quick on this one. Good lift. Oh yeah. What you want to do, get the strikes, force your opponent to notice your score. Tracy has to come back with strikes now just to avoid going farther down.
And she misses the head pin.
Can't come up with it. If she can manage the spare, she'll be a minimum of 62 pins behind at this early stage.
After 4 frames.
This one fits in better. Good pin reaction, good conversion. Got to start throwing a couple of strikes together, let Tammie know that she hasn't left the building. Uh-oh. Off wide. Good count with the chop off, giving her 25 on the spare, but not an easy converting spot here. And she's not gonna. So an open frame now. If she can cover that last 3-pin, 98 her total through the first 5. Tammie right now, without throwing another ball, has 135.
So that's 3 opens in 5 frames for a 98 count. Tracy Anseth. Hard to believe as she sits down that she has this game after her 346.
And Tammie Herman now, believe it or not, this is where it's hard to play. Your opponent hasn't got much going for them, and you're on 4 straight strikes.
No.
Well done.
I mean, I would think if I've got this roll going, my tendency or my mistake might be to want to run up there too quickly and try to throw it too fast. You couldn't get me up there fast enough.
That's the common tendency. The other factor is the open frames that have presented themselves for Tracy now, making it so easy that Tammie's gotten on this run to just keep mounting up pinfall.
Oh, there's first time she misses the headband. And the other thing is, too, and you've heard it expressed, you tend to sometimes play to the level of your opponent.
Exactly. You say, oh, this is so easy, and all of a sudden 2 frames go by and you go, wait a minute, I just opened 2 frames and she threw 2 strikes and my 130 pin advantage just went down to 60. Miscue here.
Whoa.
So perfect through the first 5.
Husband Bob, who's a former Pins Game champion in his own right, and we'll see him in men's play. And that, hard to believe. You've been around the head pin for 5 frames, had strikes, and now you can't find it.
Wow. So, the first half of the game definitely belongs to Tammie Herman. Tracy still has a potential 323 game here.
But she's got to start finding it here.
She's all around it. Can she get it back in the spot? Not quite. She drills it through again. So both players will have open frames through 6. Len looks on and says, come on, keep your head in here.
It's interesting, the 2 husbands are sitting side by side and they're talking back and forth because they're both each other's biggest, or they're fans of their wives, and you know.
So could you believe that she did that
Yeah.
frame? 12 count. Down by 90 pins through 6 frames. But there's still 4 frames to make up those 90 sticks.
And the difference too is you're both bowlers are open. So now, if Tracy should be able to get something going here.
It's a race to the finish now.
So there's the challenge for Tammie, who likely thought that this might be in her pocket, but she now has to respond to the strike.
Exactly. This strike gives Tracy the opportunity to pick up those last 180 points in frames 7, 8, 9, and 10. Tammie, of course, just trying to run Tracy out of frames.
There you go.
Can't do it here, but the mindset right now is she can pick up 180. I've got 90 pin advantage. I need to score 91 pins somehow in these last 4 frames.
and she gets her 15. But how it's turning around here for Tammie Herman. 5 strikes to start off, and now back-to-back opens and a 2:15 through 7. And this is where, you know, Tammie has to, in my opinion, you got to block it out. How do I get back to the way I was in those first 5? And that's ridiculous.
On the
That's
nose
back-to-back.
again. The death by 1,000 cuts. Every time she makes a miscue, just a little more momentum for Tracy, looking at the scoreboard saying, you know what? I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Very respectable 2:30 game through 8 frames, considering that the last 3 have all been open.
No.
So 227 through 8. Tracy can throw 3 straight strikes here, have a 90-pin bonus add on to her 110, and be within 27 pins through the 8th frame. Must throw strikes.
But she has an opportunity.
It's not going to happen, and here comes the head pin back into play again. So once again, it makes its presence known.
And for her, for Tracy, that's her 3rd head pin of the game. The gentleman in the middle is the president of the Bowling Proprietors of Canada. That's Arnie Rollins. We thank all the members of the BPAC for welcoming us, as always, to Frank Sisson's Silver Dollar Casino and Bowl.
Pretty much done for Tracy now. She checks out the scoreboard and sees that she's only scored 150 through the first 8 frames, only has a potential of 90 more. And Tammie Herman already sitting with 227. So that miss, Tammie doing the math here, saying, you know what, she can only bowl 225 right now, and I've already got 227, so I'll take that cash and move on to the next round.
Absolutely. Hard to believe, though, when you come off a 346, as Anseth did, that the wheels could fall off like they have.
Well, part of it is you give credit to Tammie Herman to getting that fast start. Tracy comes out a little shaky with a split and a head pin, then throws the strike. But by that time, Tammie had put the pressure on her with those 5 consecutive strikes, and it was an uphill battle from that point.
But the opportunity was there with the opens.
Absolutely.
From Tammie Herman.
Sets it up with this one in the 9th. Again, a beautiful shot, reaches through it, good balance at the finish, and the good rotation on the ball as it tracks in. Has the first strike on the 9th frame, can throw 3 here now in the 10th. Set up a big game. Right corner remains. That's the first corner that she's had stand on her in this match. Sets up for the spare shot. Possible 287 if she can convert, and then cap it off with a strike.
Very nice. Hangs it on the edge to get the corner. Tammie bowls at Revs in Maple Ridge. Great finish. With the spare strike for a 287. Her league average is 257. Her TSN average 262, so that's a great game for Tammie Herman. Too late for Tracy Anseth.
Yeah, the rock and roll ball, just let it go. Yep. And just a little look over at the scoreboard going, okay, that was just so easy.
And a little and a wink at her husband as well.
Yeah, there we go.
That's something. Great finish, Tracy Anseth. Glenn likes it. But Tammie Herman and her husband, Bob, like it even more as she bowls a 287, and she becomes the third of our semifinalists from Maple Ridge, BC. Tammie Herman is moving on.